In the late 1950s, the Las Vegas Strip promised limitless indulgence, but across the tracks lay the West Side, a segregated community of unpaved roads and no streetlights, known to residents as the Mississippi of the West. Black entertainers like Sammy Davis Jr. and Lena Horne packed the showrooms of the Sands and the Riviera. Their talent drove the city's wealth, yet they were forbidden from staying in the rooms, gambling on the floors, or drinking at the bars of the very venues they headlined. After every performance, these stars were forced to exit through kitchen doors and retreat to the West Side, physically excluded from the luxury they created. While local politicians wore the titles, mob-backed financiers held the actual authority. This syndicate viewed the Strip through a ledger of profit and loss, operating properties like the Dunes and the Sands with a total indifference to racial equality. To force change in Las Vegas, the Black community had to ignore moral appeals and target the only thing the syndicate valued, the bottom line. Dr. James B. McMillan, the first Black dentist in Las Vegas and president of the local NAACP, realized the city's carefully manicured public image was its greatest vulnerability. In early March 1960, McMillan issued a direct threat: completely desegregate all major casinos by March 26th, or face a massive, nonviolent civil rights march directly down the center of Las Vegas Boulevard. This specific threat targeted the Strip's economic machinery. Las Vegas relied on the steady flow of high roller capital from cities like New York and Chicago. A public protest would disrupt that flow and destroy the illusion of a glamorous escape. A march would also invite federal scrutiny and National Guard troops, risking a total collapse of the syndicate's untaxed cash flow. By leveraging the city's need for a glamorous illusion, McMillan engineered a financial hostage situation that turned the syndicate's greed into a strategic liability. McMillan backed his threat with a highly organized coalition of local leaders, ensuring the city's power brokers knew the march was a credible, imminent reality. Bob Bailey managed the media strategy, Reverend Donald Clark mobilized church congregations, and Ruby Ami Pilot coordinated the logistics for the families ready to take the pavement. As the March 26th deadline loomed, the atmosphere in the governor's office and casino boardrooms turned to panic. The activists were not bluffing, and the city was a powder keg. Newspaper editor Hank Greenspun stepped in as a mediator, forcing the casino executives and their silent partners to face a hard reality: yield to the NAACP or watch the empire they built burn under the spotlight of global media attention. Unified strategic resistance, rather than a moral awakening, forced the city's elite to the negotiating table. On the afternoon of March 26th, the negotiators met at the shuttered Moulin Rouge Hotel. It was a sight thick with irony. The nation's first interracial resort, closed years earlier due to systemic roadblocks and financial sabotage. Inside the quiet resort, the NAACP leadership stood their ground against hotel executives representing the major Strip properties. McMillan remained unyielding, prepared to deploy thousands of marchers within hours. The executives cited fears of white patron boycotts, but with the evening tourist rush approaching, their arguments lost momentum. Faced with immediate economic risk, the power brokers blinked. They agreed to eliminate racial barriers across all major Las Vegas casinos and hotels that very night. The Moulin Rouge Agreement desegregated the Strip's major casinos in a single afternoon, proving that entrenched corporate power yields when its survival is at stake. The Black community moved immediately to enforce the agreement, replacing the planned march with a coordinated test of the newly opened venues. That evening, couples like Ruby Amy Pilot and her husband drove to the Strip. For years, the threshold of a casino like the Dunes had been an invisible electric fence. Crossing it meant humiliation or arrest. As they reached the entrance, the security guards stood down. The management had handed down the order: let them pass. Black citizens dismantled the invisible barriers of the casino floor through the quiet, revolutionary act of occupying previously forbidden spaces. A common historical myth credits the arrival of billionaire Howard Hughes in 1966 with bringing integration and modernity to Las Vegas. However, Hughes did not arrive until 6 years after the NAACP coalition had already forced the city to desegregate. The integrated Las Vegas we know today grew from the strategic leverage of the midnight coup, executed by local activists who refused to live in the shadows of the neon any longer.